Are you like me and you have tons of fabric scraps? I have a whole bunch. In fact, I've got a small pile here to show you. I've got just, a few to show you here. This is not even a dent in what I have, but these are tiny little squares that somebody cut out. I bought them at a thrift store, and I don't know if I want to sew them together, but I'll use them somehow. Got some fun wood looking fabric, and I'll show you how I'm going to use that later. But I wanted to do a video about how I use up my fabric scraps, because I am so frugal. It's just how I am, and I seriously have trouble throwing anything away, let alone perfectly good fabric. So I'm going to show you a few things I've made recently. See if you make anything like this, or maybe you'll want to. We'll see. I recently finished up making some things for a cat rescue. I know a woman who is going to start a cat rescue and keep cats, foster them in her house, and she's going to do some little fundraiser sales. So I'm going to send these to her to hopefully sell. So I'll show you a few of them here. I made some little applique coasters, or you could set a candle on it, just set it on the table and set something on it. But I just used a batik background, cut out some tree trunks and flowers for the tree, and a little kitty cat. And here's the other one. These are really fun to make. I love doing, and everything I make is whimsical and primitive, not perfect at all. Here's the backs. I just use frayed edges. I don't finish things off like, make them look professional, because they're never gonna look perfect to me, so I just don't even try. And then here are 3 little dog themed ones. There's 2, and here's the 3rd one. So these were fun. I liked doing these, and I just used different fabric for the backgrounds, because why not? It's what I had. They were already cut out, makes it easy. And then I made a few, used that same fabric that I used on the backs of the others, and just some little coasters. And this was from a quilt that I just cut apart. It was already quilted together, little patchwork pieces, and it was not a handmade quilt, but one from a store, but still pretty pastel fabric. And I'll just show you everything I made and how I made one other little piece, and I'll show you that also. I wanted to show you some of the things I've finished for the cat rescue that I'm going to be mailing this week. In the back here is a banner. I just pieced some fabric together here to make a runner, and then I've sewn little triangles of fabric to it. Very simple. Here are some of the coasters. They could also be used to hold a candle, like to just set a candle on the table. Just a variety, and I'm using up my scraps. I did some little applique trees, cut out some cats from fabric. I cut apart a old doily that was damaged and sewed that on. Here are some cats and trees and flowers. So that's just what I've done so far, and I'm going to make a few more, and I'll show you how I make one of the applique styles. Okay, I'm going to show you kind of my thought process of how I put together these little coasters, or whatever you want to call them. I'm going to start with this vintage patchwork piece. It was from a quilt, and as you can see, it's very faded here. It has a little hole right here, but I'm going to cover that up with something. So I'm going to square it off. I'm going to just fold it in half and make it a little more even because it's a little wonky. So I'll just take my scissors and I'm just going to eyeball it. I don't get real precise with things because I'm kind of a perfectionist and I know it's not going to be perfect, so I don't even aim for that. And that looks like it has just a little bit extra right there. I'll just trim that off. Good enough. Now I'll square off the bottom or the top, whatever that's going to be. And these are primitive. They're not perfect. They're not like patchwork quilting that somebody would do for perfection. I don't do that. So now that I have the top, I'm going to make a bottom. This is another piece of quilted fabric. So I set my top piece on another piece of quilted fabric, and I'm just going to cut it out. I have 3 sides done, and I'll finish up here on this side. And I'll just trim some of this that looks like it needs to be trimmed as I go. Okay. So I have this. I could use it as the front. And I have this. And I like this better. I think it's more interesting. And I'm using this fabric, looks like wood, to make some tree trunks. So I just cut some out freeform because trees aren't perfectly straight. And then I'll show you how I make the leaves for the top of the tree. And I'll do this in kind of a fall tone. I'm just going to use a freeform style. And set that right there. And then I'll do one for here. Okay, and I think I'll set this behind here so that the branches show. So we have 2 trees. And now I have this little cat that's already cut out, but I think I'm going to do it in a solid color that will show up a little better. I think it would show up really well right there. I don't know. I'll have to think about it a minute. Okay, I decided I do like this cat when it's mostly on the dark blue and then covering part of the tree trunk. I think that looks good. So I'm going to sew this, and I will show you in a quick fashion so you don't have to watch me do all the stitching. It'll just be sped up. I'm going to show you how I use a glue stick to put the pieces down. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue, because this isn't really meant to be washed. It's going to be just a piece to use. Not going to be worn or anything. So I'm going to put a little glue on this tree trunk and then place it just like that. Put a little bit on the kitty. And it helps, instead of having to pin it down, it helps keep the pieces in place while I'm sewing. And it works really well. So I'll do these 2 pieces. Do the tree trunk first, because the leaves are going to be on top of it. So you have to figure out how you're going to layer it. And this is the back. So I'm just going to put a few swipes on there. So it's ready for me to sew. Okay, I finished sewing around all of the components here, the tree trunk, the trees, the little kitty cat, and now I'm going to add this to the top just to kind of help finish it off. And this is larger than a coaster that I was making, so I'm going to add a little hanger. And I just wanted to show you, I'm going to bend this wire kind of like that. That will go, it will stick up right up here. And then I'm going to, I had bent this before, I'm just going to bend it back flat. And I'm going to make an incision, a little hole up here at the top, 2 of them, for the wire to come out of. And I'm just going to snip this with my wire cutter because, well, I guess I should just use scissors. And I'm just eyeballing it. I just need somewhere for the wire to come out so I can, what I'm going to do is insert it. Actually, I need to trim this. Just make an opening, just like that. And that way somebody can hang it on the wall. And I'm just going to sew this down. I'll sew around all of the edges and finish off the ends, and that one will be ready. It can be a little wall hanging. Okay, I sewed this down. I don't know if you can see, I just zigzagged around, and then I inserted this so that the only thing, I didn't want the wire in for both sides when I was sewing, but it's securely in there now. And then I just finished it off, and I'm going to clean it up a little. The edges are a little bit too big. Just even it up. And everything I make is very freeform and whimsical. Let's call it whimsical. So that one is finished. So do you sew? Do you ever make anything like this? These are very easy, simple. I just do a few at a time. They take about 10 minutes, you know, each, or maybe 15 minutes total to make 2 of them. And I can use up my scraps. I like doing it. It's fun. And now that I know this woman will try to sell these for a cat rescue, I can make more and just keep sending them to her. Let me know if you ever make anything small. Just, it's not as intimidating to me as trying to make a big quilt. And share with us what you make. Doesn't have to be sewn. You could knit, crochet, whatever. And I look forward to reading your comments. I'll see you next time.